Today we have the honor to interview Alex Leese, CEO of Pronet Gaming since July 2019. He previously served as director of William Hill. Prior to that role, Leese held various managerial roles at online gambling giants, including Sportingbet, GVS, and Offside Gaming. Leese is based in Pronet Gaming new commercial headquarters in London, but if the pandemic yields, he will also travel to its other offices in Malta and Curacao on a regular basis. Okay, hello, Alex. Thank you so much for giving us this interview. I would like to start with your reflection on 2020. How was your personal and work experience in this difficult, complex, and disruptive year?
Well, I don't think anyone's had a good personal experience from 2020. Yeah, what I would say, I mean, you know, from a professional point of view, I guess for those of us who work in the gaming industry, I mean, we've obviously been very, very lucky to work in an industry which is pretty resilient to those kind of external factors. So I guess, you know, from a professional point of view, you know, Pronet Gaming has been able to actually weather the storm, both from its own business, but also from the perspective of being able to assist our clients. So, I mean, our year started pretty well in February 2020, where we had a big stand at the London Ice exhibition. That was a great start for us. We had a lot of interest in the product and the business, but then obviously the lockdown kicked in. But I'm pleased to say after that, from the perspective of signing new deals and new clients, I mean, it was a very, very successful year for us. I mean, we did over 20 deals between around May up until December. Most of those in the newer jurisdictions that we've been going into. And, you know, furthermore, from an overall business point of view from our clients, because we were able to assist them with the modification of the UX UI to accommodate some of the other products like virtuals, AI-driven sports and esports, and of course casino, you know, we were able to support our clients during what was quite a difficult period when, of course, there was no live sport for a couple of months. So it's kind of mixed feelings, really. I mean, certainly from a personal perspective, I mean, it's not a brilliant year when everyone's worked from home, but you know, everyone's just got on with the job, really, which is great.
Like every crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic also left behind a lot of new opportunities. How is Pronet Gaming preparing itself for this new normality, and how do you see the future of the industry in the face of this great challenge?
Yeah, so I think there's a number of things there. So I think the first one to say is in terms of how is Pronet Gaming actually readying itself for this new normal, as you say. And I think one of the things that we've seen now, which is quite interesting, is prior to the pandemic, there was always a clamour within the industry to try to move players onto like the virtual sports, esports, e-leagues, and of course, you know, the usual cross-sell to casino. Now, with the pandemic coming on, that essentially brought that forward by about 5 years. You know, it left customers with the only option for live betting, you know, was on that kind of content. So what is really interesting is that now that sort of everything appears to be actually returning to some degree of normal, you know, you might expect the revenues from those products to actually come down again as live sports has kicked in, but that hasn't been the case, or certainly that's not what we've seen from our clients. So we've almost seen a higher residual level for casino, for virtuals and esports. So what we've done obviously over the years, we spent a lot of time making sure that we had the widest possible portfolio of content to give to our customers. So, you know, that covers them for maybe the newer betting habits that have been created out of the pandemic, but it also helps to protect them again, you know, should there be any further repeat of this in the future, which, you know, you hate to say it, but I think it's easier to see this happening again rather than not. So that's one thing. I think that the second thing that we've seen, of course, is that because of a lot of the retail businesses and the land-based casinos, which I guess tend to be more prevalent in the LatAm markets, they were always very, very stable businesses. But of course, when the pandemic hit, there was no footfall in the casinos, and a lot of them were desperate to get online. There was a huge amount of interest in these land-based operators to all of a sudden launch websites of the same brand of the casino to be able to continue. So I think that's a change that we've seen, and that's certainly the preparation that we've made.
I see. And in 3 words, how would you describe Pronet Gaming?
3 words. I'm going to have to explain each one. Agile, I think, will be the first one I would say, simply because we're able to adapt very, very quickly, as we did during the pandemic, and we're quick at getting out websites, essentially. So we're not going to be a firm that takes 6 months to get a customer live. Knowledgeable. That's a very broad, I know. Knowledgeable from the perspective of we understand the local aspects of each of the markets that we provide services into our clients, and not only do we help them technically, but we also help them when it comes to local contacts. If it's law firms or corporate services providers or marketing providers, we don't just give them the technical platform. We tend to provide the whole suite of services. And finally, I would say that we're client centric. If that is one word. In that, ultimately we are driven, absolutely by what the client has set out in their business plans.
And tell me all about Pronet Gaming, its structure, human resources, the support system, everything you think a future client would like to know.
Well, I mean, from a structural point of view, I guess it's a structure which would be kind of easily recognizable, to any B2C company in the industry. So, of course, we have our licensed offices in kind of Curacao and Malta. And then we have a number of support functions around that. So we have our support team based over in Malta, which also has a trading team. We have IT across a number of countries, including Slovenia and Bulgaria. And of course, we have the head commercial office in London. We also have a good network on the ground in some of these new territories. So we do have people on the ground in Africa and also in LatAm, so to help with local sales, but also just kind of getting a better understanding of some of the local regulations, for example. From a HR point of view, it's pretty interesting, really. I mean, I think as you alluded to at the start of the interview, I have worked for a number of the big corporates, and maybe some of the smaller ones as well over the years. And I think when you do that, you kind of get an idea pretty quickly as to how you would like to set things up when it came to sort of taking on a CEO role such as this. And I think, to sort of put it simply, I mean, the way that I set Pronet Gaming up when we first put the commercial office in London, I just wanted to create the company that I always wanted to work for. So, having seen what I liked and disliked, maybe, in other companies, what would I do differently? And that's how we're set up now. And we've been fortunate enough to recruit an absolutely first-class team of industry experts. So our chief commercial officer joined us from SB Tech. Our chief sales officer came from Sporting Solutions. Every role that we've brought in has brought with it a wealth of experience. And I think that's really important for clients to understand, because ultimately, there's a whole number of technical platform providers out there. But I think it's where do you add kind of additional value to it? And like I say, because we also have a lot of B2C experience on board as well, which also includes myself, I think we are able to empathize very easily with the customer and kind of understand exactly where they're at, and also get more involved in their business with regards to their marketing planning, with regards to planning affiliates, if they're trying to set up companies or get licenses, we can also help with that. So I mean, we do class ourselves as a turnkey provider, but that turnkey, I mean that really is, from top to bottom of any B2C gaming operation.
And in how many countries are you present? And which is the global market that you see more potential to develop this year?
How many countries are we present in? How many countries do we service websites to for our clients? We're currently on, it changes from day to day, if I'm honest with you, just as we get new deals done, but we've got 25. We're in 25 at the moment. And that is spread across Africa, LatAm, parts of Europe, and parts of Asia at the moment. But that is kind of expanding by the day, and that is simply because our clients they may wish to go live maybe in LatAm and Africa first, and then they get an opportunity to go live in Asia, for example. So we're constantly sort of adding strings to our bow. Where do we see the most potential globally? Well, I think if you look at the African market at the moment, what I can confidently say is that from a product perspective, I mean, we have gotten to a point now where I think that we can be considered the number one in that market in terms of the product that we have, in terms of like the features that are being tailored specifically for the African market. So that's been a great market for us in terms of growth over the course of 2020, and as we move into 2021, of course, LatAm is the one with now the sort of biggest potential. I think I've been speaking about this at various conferences recently, online, of course. Mm-hmm. And there's of course the big one is around the corner, which is Brazil, and that's the one I think that presents the biggest opportunity for us. So we have a number of things going on at the moment in that jurisdiction.
What are the company's plans for 2021 in Latin America, and what products and services do you think we have a greater acceptance?
So plans for 2021. So we are already in Mexico, we're already in Chile, we're already in Peru, we're already in Brazil, but obviously the grey version of Brazil for what it is now. So I think in terms of our plans, it's really to kind of consolidate our position in those jurisdictions. I think particularly in Brazil. So we have a couple of conversations ongoing at the moment to launch B2C partnerships in Brazil, with some pretty big sports clubs and media houses. That will be all revealed in due course, but that's obviously very interesting for us. From a product perspective, I mean, I think there's maybe a lot of talk about, you have to completely change the presentation of the betting website for the LatAm market, and I think I've been quite outspoken in not necessarily kind of agreeing with that. I think there's certain elements of it that need to be tweaked, but I don't think it requires a complete overhaul. But what I would say is that we know that, particularly in the markets like Brazil, some of the products such as, video bingo, for example, are going to be more prevalent. And what I would say is that, I guess, through a combination of demographics, of market dynamics, and the pandemic, I think probably the opportunity for esports and virtuals, etc., is probably bigger in the LatAm markets. So it's almost like they're going to get a higher percentage of their business courtesy of those products than may have been the case in the European markets, which have obviously been established for a longer period of time.
Do you have in mind any local structure in the region to communicate Pronet Gaming's services and products?
Yeah, I mean, we have people on the ground at the moment, but obviously as a technical platform provider, the services that we provide are remote. But I think as I kind of alluded to before, is it possible that we'll put in place a sales office eventually over there? Yeah, I think it is. I think we're kind of happy now with actually what we have in terms of coverage, but I think that will change pretty quickly if we are able to launch these new B2C initiatives then that will obviously mean a pretty substantial presence on the ground over there to provide all those usual operator services, so customer services, VIP, payment risk and fraud, marketing.
Okay, we look forward to that. And for 2021, what commercial and financial plans does Pronet Gaming have to attract potential clients and partners? Yes.
Well, commercial plans. Well, more sales, hopefully. I think that's always the way. I mean, look, from 2019 to 2020, we were lucky enough to report 18% growth in operating profit year on year. And for 2021, we anticipate that kind of going even further, up to the low 20s in terms of growth. Obviously dependent upon some of these larger deals that we're involved in at the moment, across Africa specifically. But in terms of commercial plans, I mean, what I would say is that in the absence of the physical shows, which would usually be the traditional area where the B2B platform providers like us would attract new clients, that's obviously completely changed now. And we've had to rely much more on our presence online. So, using the virtual conferences, using interviews like this, for example, but obviously the various digital marketing channels, LinkedIn, we've been much more reliant on that. And I think probably fair to say that we've made good use of it. So I feel that right now we're in a very, very good position to achieve the growth targets that we have with the amount of interest that we now have in Pronet Gaming, which is great to see. In fact, there's something actually that we just announced today online, which is a partnership now with Tenlot, which will see us as the official technical provider for the El Salvador lottery. So that's been actually announced today. That is hot off the press on LinkedIn. So that tells you a bit about the direction that we're going in and the kinds of opportunities that we're working on.
Final question, Alex. What message would you give to our audience at the beginning of this year?
At the beginning of this year, what message would I give to the audience? Yeah. That's a big question, really. Okay, if it's speaking to potential clients of Pronet Gaming, what would I say? I guess this applies to everyone, but I think it's making sure that your business is set up in such a way that it can weather the storm, of any future impact, whether that be from a pandemic or further lockdowns arising, or whether that even be from political instability. I think the ability to diversify your product across not just sports but casino, virtuals, esports, AI-driven content. I mean, that is absolutely vital for anyone, I think, that wishes to be successful in the gaming business. I think now more than ever, everyone needs to be adopting an omni-channel approach, and that applies whether you're a B2C operator brand or whether you're a provider. You still need to adapt your business. And apart from staying safe, that's it, I guess.
That's important, yes. Okay, thank you so much, Alex, for this interview, and look forward to meet you in person.
Yes, look forward to it. Thank you.